The perfect car can make the life of a bass player magnificent, and the wrong car can make it terrible. I've definitely had both experiences. We asked the Double Bass HQ community for their recommendations on cars. We're going to go through those, figure out what the good, great, and S-tier cars are to give you the best car for your needs as a bass player. Thank you to everybody who left a comment on their favorite bass car. And we've got that all in this thread on our Double Bass HQ community. Now, before I get into this list, just a few overall trends. It was fascinating to see how this all broke down. So y'all, SUVs came in top for this recommended list. Then hatchbacks were close second, followed by station wagons, and then just one minivan recommendation. I have had both SUV and station wagon in a pinch. I have made it work in even just a standard four-door car. Hatchback can work okay. Of course, more room is better, but then you have the trade-off with mileage and all that kind of. We will start with our first car that we are going to put on the list, the Toyota Corolla. So the Corolla hatchback, 2025 price, we're looking at a little over 20,000 US. And of course, many used Toyota Corollas out there, and pretty good mileage, city 32, highway 41. And so many of these cars come in regular gas versions, hybrid versions. If you don't mind taking your base and maybe not too much else, the Toyota Corolla hatchback could be a good option. Yeah, you really can't take two bases in it, that's for sure. But having some good gas mileage is great. Not all of my base mobiles were good gas mileage, and they definitely have a reputation for being reliable. So also the RS, I believe, is a very similar car to that. So it might be a little bit cramped, but it's a doable car for bass. And that's one thing that people pointed out. Just about any car is technically doable for bass. It doesn't mean it's going to be pleasant. I remember a colleague of mine back in Milwaukee had just like a Chevy sedan, and he would just put it in the front seat, the passenger seat, and recline it. So you really can't see out the passenger seat. It's a little bit of a project to put it into the car. As soon as you get a hatchback in and you can fold the back seats down, that's going to make almost any car workable. My very first bass car was a Mercury. It was like driving a tractor, but you could fit a bass in it. The next car we'll put on the list is the Mini Cooper Clubman, and seeing Mini Cooper on the list is great. My father-in-law was a big Mini Cooper fan, and I've never tried to fit a bass in a Mini Cooper, but as long as you've got it, they call it a wagon, and there's so much overlap between these different styles, but it seems like the consensus is that it's a wagon. And it looks like it fits a bass okay. Price is not the cheapest, but of course you can get one used. Decent mileage, not the best, not the worst, and yeah, it can fit a bass and a passenger. My Mini Clubman, barn doors for the win. Oh, cool. These are very much recommendations from working bass players. Next on the ranking is our Toyota Sienna, the only minivan recommendation, though I'm sure a lot of people use minivans. If you need a minivan, you know you need a minivan, and you can fit a heck of a lot of gear in a minivan. Joe McNally has had a lot. He's driving a hybrid. Okay, so it is a hybrid Sienna. It's an Elephant Prius. That's a great way to describe it. Terrific bass vehicle. Yeah, if you ever need to move multiple basses, and for whatever reason, I always seem to be commuting to gigs with other bass players, so it was very helpful to have a car that would fit more than one bass, and also to be able to get bass stools and stands, and maybe you're going on a trip, you need some backpacks. So yeah, not a bad recommendation at all, and great to hear that folks are digging that car. Looking quickly at the VW Atlas. So we got an SUV, our first SUV on the list, and we've got several VW recommendations. Room for bass and wife. That is very helpful. Thank you, Meryl. And yeah, seats that lay flat. I've had bass cars that have lay flat seats and ones that don't. Lay flat is better. Great gas mileage. It's very cool. Next up is the Kia Soul, and I have been very impressed by Kias recently. I rented a Kia to drive down to LA recently to do a project, and it was a Kia hybrid, and it was like a fraction the cost of the Tesla Model Y we've been thinking about getting. And Apple CarPlay worked great in it. Bass went in it great. It had that lane assist, whatever that you call it. And yeah, I was very impressed. So Kia Soul for the win. Patricia also likes the Kia Soul. So can fit 2 bases with stools easily. Great for you and your gig commuting companions. We'll add the Volvo XC60 to the list. And I was kind of surprised that there weren't more Volvo recommendations. I remember Volvo being kind of like the dream base car back when I was starting to gig in the late 90s, early 2000s. Paul Sharp from North Carolina School of the Arts, yeah, he drives an XC60, and we got several comments. Kim Valentine, 2 Volvo XC60s fit the base great. Seats fold perfectly flat, room enough to have the stool next to it in the back, again for the win. And hey, Volvo works. Love it. Adding the Subaru Forester to the list. Good old Subaru. So I had, it's story time with Jason. I had a Subaru Legacy when I started out freelancing. It was a good car in many ways, but it had some terrifying quirks. It did have all-wheel drive, so that was great. But it had this brake problem that I was never able to diagnose or fix, where you would push down the brake pedal and it wouldn't go down. Nothing would happen. I came up to a stop sign, pushed it down, nothing would happen. I just sailed through that stop sign. Good thing no one was coming. And no mechanic could figure it out. I spent thousands of dollars replacing everything and just super mystifying. But Subaru has a great reputation, and I was kind of surprised not to see more votes for the Forester. I always thought that was like a beloved base car. Lynn Seaton from University of North Texas loves the Subaru Forester base amp dolly 2 suitcases. Okay, so this is like a great base car, obviously. Next up, the Kia Sportage, and this is actually what I rented when I drove down to LA, and I was remarkably impressed both at the price and the mileage. I'm not sure if this mileage is for the hybrid version that I was driving or not, but cool to see some love for the Kia Sportage. Brad, his extension fits brilliantly. Room for passengers, brought the base to dealerships. Yep, that's a good move. You think the base is going to fit, but you want to check, in my experience. So yeah, very cool. Oh, yeah, the Sorento, okay, even more roomy, but the Sportage is more compact. Oh, you know what? I think I rented the Sorento. Anyway, it was a Kia. It was cool. I barely spent any money on gas. I was very impressed by Kia. And rounding out the B tier list is the Honda Civic. So the Honda Civic, all right. 2-door Honda Civic, Laura Bass. I'm not sure if this is a recommendation from Laura, and I know Laura well, by the way, so, or just a testimonial that even if all you can afford is a 1996 Honda Civic, you can make it work with the base. Moving on to the A tier, and I'm going to call this the RIP list. You all also are big fans of discontinued cars. I think every single one in the A tier is not being produced anymore. That does not mean you can't find it. And many of these are great cars. I've had personal experience with several of these cars. And so if you pick one up used, that might be a great gig car. Maybe not as reliable as some of these 2025 models, but hey, whatever. And the Nissan Versa Note, it looks like there are many other options, and that's true for all of these car companies, but many other options that kind of fit the bill or are kind of a similar feature set to this. But this looks like a beloved car. Paul Nielsen, he brought the base to make sure it would fit. Tiny, and the base with an extension would fit. And the dealer's still telling people the story of this crazy guy in his base. I love it. Next up, we have the Buick Regal Tour X, which my buddy Jack Unziker recommends. Looks like a great car, lots of room. Jack's got some folks in the family, so to be able to fit people and instruments is very useful. For my last car, I had a Honda Element. We could fit my bass in there, fine. We could fit her harp in there, barely. And we discovered one day we could fit the harp and the bass along along with two of us, a bass stool, a harp cart, and a few other things. But it was so complicated that when I finally figured out the Jenga of it, I had to walk around the car and take a video to make sure I could remember how to do it again. This car has been out of service for a long time, or out of production rather, discontinued in 2011. We had ours until we lost it in a spectacular accident. Next up is the VW Golf, and several people, including my business partner Trevor Jones, recommended the Golf. It is just, I think, as of, one of the last couple of years was the last year of production for that. Rob could fit 2 basses and 2 stools, as it was built specifically for this purpose. Very cool. Matthew Blake made do with the VW Golf for many years. Okay, now we get into my early days of freelancing. The Toyota Matrix, discontinued in 2013. So actually it was around longer than the Element, which is crazy. And I really think of the Toyota Matrix as being like a predecessor of sorts to the Prius. I don't think it exactly worked like that, but it was hatchback. It was good gas mileage, not as good as the Prius, of course, but a pretty good car for getting the base. And it was a good kind of small car, but still doable as a bass player. And yeah, it's good to find that mix. If you have the space or the budget or the gas mileage tolerance for a bigger car, that can be great. But there are a lot of advantages, of course, to driving a smaller car. And a lot of folks from Europe commented on this one and pointed out small cars are great in Europe for these alley streets and all that kind of thing. And hey, even here in San Francisco, they're great for that as well. The Scion XB, I just walked by one of these today as I was coming back to make this video. This was discontinued in 2015, but I know so many bass players that had this. This falls into that boxy Honda Element car category, a little bit smaller, and I think pretty affordable. I think about the same not so awesome gas mileage as the Honda Element. And last on the A tier is the Volvo XC70, also discontinued. Like I said, this is a rest in peace for all these cars. So you can pick one up pretty cheap for Volvo. Gas mileage is okay. And yeah, room for bass, amp, stand, passenger, awesome. Now we're getting to the S tier. This is in ranked order in terms of recommendations. So we have the Honda CR-V. Classic car, filled a lot of the gaps that some of these discontinued models used to occupy. Decent gas mileage, and this fairly compact SUV category. This can be great for a working musician where you can fit your bass, you can fit an amp, you can fit some extra gear, maybe fit another person, but you're not driving some hulking thing that you don't need all the time around. Price is not too bad, and lots of options. Yeah, lots of love for the CR-V. Next, we got the Toyota RAV4, a very similar car to the CR-V. As I was trying to look one up, the Google ads for the other one kept coming up, which is kind of hilarious. Good gas mileage and quite a bit of love from folks. So Laura says that the 2016 model fits the base better than the 2022 model. Yeah, that's the thing. That was really good advice that Paul Nielsen and some others gave, to bring the base to the dealership and just make sure that it actually fits in there, because you just never know. And that's going to be your life. And those little things that you do 2 times a day, 4 times a day, 8 times a day, depending on how much you're working, those will add up a lot. And so just making sure that this car will work well with your life, and can you put the base in and it just slides in, or do you have to I had some cars where I have to put a pillow underneath and all sorts of craziness like that. So just making sure that that works well is so important. And we've got one more that is discontinued. Just a few years ago, you can find a used one, I know, and the Jazz is still being produced in Europe, but the Honda Fit was a beloved base car. We got a lot of recommendations. Okay, down to our last 2. And this is kind of a bittersweet one because this is the Toyota Prius, but what people are really recommending is the Prius 5, which is that slightly larger Prius that works great for a bass. Or that Prius 5, you can actually fit a harp in there. And with a harpist wife, I know what does and does not work with a harp really well. But yeah, you can find them pre-owned and they will last for quite some time. So if you can get a Prius 5, you should be fine. I'm pretty sure you can still fit a bass in a Prius, but I you're not going to have as convenient experience as you do with the Prius 5. And our number one car, most recommended, and this is not surprising, but it came in, very, very beloved, is the Subaru Outback. It hits all the marks in terms of price, in terms of gas mileage, in terms of carrying capacity. Just a really solid base car, and Subaru has a lot of love for it in the base community. It seems like more than Volvo. I think maybe that switched a couple decades ago, because I remember just about everybody I knew seemed to have a Volvo, and then it would last forever. But like Andrew Goins pointed out, Subarus maybe aren't lasting as long as they used to. That certainly was the reputation, but even so, we have a lot of recommendations for Subaru Outback, and Greg Livingston, his third Subaru Outback. And okay, so he puts has a foam pad to go under his base. I do remember my Subaru Legacy, and again, this is from like 25 years ago, so who knows these days. But I do remember it didn't completely go flat like some other cars, so I did have to put like something under the neck. That may have been rectified, or I could be just totally imagining things. But yeah, Chris says you can easily slide the base in either of them, and very cool. So thank you so much to everybody who contributed these comments. Looks like we've got some winners in terms of recommendations, but if you have any thoughts on additional cars, leave a comment below and we'll see you in the next video.